Candace Owens has new information regarding the untimely death of Charlie Kirk, specifically that she says she has a rock-solid source that is contradicting the information the government is providing. Let's dive right into what she has to say. After this, we'll cover the new Qatari air base that I guess is going to be going into Idaho. How does that make America great? And we'll talk more about the government shutdown. But first, here's Candace Owens.
You that your bone density is better when you're younger, but this seemed a little bit too performative. Now, I can tell you the part that he is telling the truth about is that Charlie's neck indeed did stop the bullet.
So nobody believed this because the idea that a bullet from a rifle like that would be stopped was absurd. They've done ballistics tests. It would be so much force and energy that there's no way your bones would stop it. But that doesn't mean that a smaller bullet couldn't be stopped. And this is the question, right? Where the shot came from. There's obviously different camera angles. People think it didn't come from the front. It came from the side. So lots of questions unanswered. But Candace is now saying, actually, to calm down those conspiracies, like the bullet came from the side or the back, or even from below, she's saying, no, it came from the front, but it just wasn't the bullet that we thought it was.
Without question, okay, and this is going to dispel a lot of theories that are out there, and I'm telling you this 100%, Charlie Kirk was shot from the front, and the bullet did not exit. And at least a fragment of the bullet was recovered from his neck. And I'm going to tell you exactly where it was recovered from. I have fact-checked this information from multiple sources now. I've actually been sitting on this for a little bit over a week. Right around here. So think about almost in line with your shoulder blade right in the center. Now, why is that helpful? Because it gives us a bullet trajectory, okay? Went in here where you saw that, and it was stopped, and a fragment was pulled from, think right, if you're just touching your spine in line with your shoulder blade.
Which, by the way, makes a lot of sense because the medical professional said the way that he reacted to the shot means he was probably paralyzed right away. And the idea that the shot was too clean to be an exit wound, because the entrance wound is always a lot cleaner than the exit. The way it's easier for, obviously, when the bullet goes in versus when it comes out, it's going through all of the bone mass and everything else. And I'm sorry for all the sort of graphic imagery that we're discussing here, but it's important because this is how you deal with the forensics of who shot, where did it come from. But it's like, this doesn't answer the question then. If they're claiming that Tyler Robinson had this old school rifle, but now they're saying the bullet must have been something way less powerful, then does that mean that Tyler Robinson's weapon wasn't the one used?
That leads us obviously to the part that he's maybe not being forthcoming about.
The bullet.
They did not recover a bullet from a .30-06. They didn't recover a bullet from a .30-06. It just didn't happen, okay? If they had found a .30-06 bullet, Charlie's death certificate certainly would have reflected that. In suicide situations, as just one example, medical examiners, feel free to chime in. I've spoken to quite a few. But when the gun and the bullet are known, they are reflected onto the death certificate.
Listen, okay, I'm no expert. How do they if the bullet didn't exit the body, how have they only recovered a fragment of the bullet? Will somebody help me with this?
Okay. There is not one reflected onto Charlie Kirk's death certificate because they did not recover a bullet from a .30-06. Hunters and military men rejoice. It turns out that common sense still rules the roost. Okay.
All right. So again, that leaves us with way more questions than answers. If that's not the weapon, is this going to be Tyler Robinson's defense saying, look, yeah, I got a gun, but that wasn't the one? Or what does that mean? There was more people involved? I don't know, but very, very interesting update here.
Okay. You guys were right. You were absolutely right. And this is why I hate politics, because it requires us to submit to the idea that we were all somehow born yesterday. That life really can just be a Marvel comic with people that are, I guess, a DC comic where there are men of steel that are able, because they're young, to stop 3,000 pounds of energy that is coming at them. That didn't happen.
So good on people, good on the internet for, I guess, according to Candace and her source here, good on the internet for experts saying, no, this wasn't that type of bullet. No way. This would have blown through an elk. So there's no way Charlie Kirk's going to stop it. So, hey, looks like another win. Again, assuming Candace's sources are tight here, we'll have more information as it comes out. We continue to cover this story. Lots to get into, though. I mean, how about this? Blatant corruption happening. Qatar gives Trump a $1 billion deal, right, for a $5.5 billion beachside project announced in Qatar or Qatar. And by the way, look, I've been to Qatar, spent a few days there. It's beautiful. It's clean. It's got a lot of art and things like that, but it feels like a rich person that just has a lot of money buying stuff, and I say that because this is the problem with billionaires is that they have so much money that they can buy art, that they can buy influence, and in this sense, actually buy our government. The U.S. accepts unconditional donation of Qatari jet, cost of retrofitting it classified, right? So we get a $400 million jet or whatever, which is going to cost like $1 billion to retrofit. And this is supposed to be the new jet, the new Air Force One, although when Trump leaves office, it's supposed to go to like the Trump library, which basically means he gets a new jet. Well, now we're finding out that Pete Hegseth is claiming that they're going to be opening up a Qatar military base in Idaho. What? Let's have a listen to this.
No one other than President Trump could have achieved the peace that we believe will be a lasting peace in Gaza. And Qatar played a substantial role from the beginning, working with our folks to ensure that came about. So I want to thank you for that historic peace. We look forward to joining the president as that gets, it's already been delivered, but as that's formally signed as well. And I'm also proud that today we're signing a letter of acceptance to build a Qatari Emiri Air Force facility at the Mountain Home Air Base in Idaho.
Why? Yeah, we don't have other countries' Air Force bases on our land. Now, of course, the answer to this is you scratch my back, I scratch yours. That's what this is.
Location will be host a contingent of Qatari F-15s and pilots to enhance our combined training, increase lethality, interoperability. It's just another example of our partnership. And I hope Your Excellency, that you can count on us.
So I love Pete Hegseth. He says, yeah, just our partnership. And he closes the binder and they just gloss all over it. And the reporters are like, we have questions. Can we ask some questions about this? Nobody likes this. Nobody. MAGA, there is no way that they are going to wrap their heads around this. There will come a point where Trump has flown too close to the sun. I don't know if this is it. It might be something more reckless, but this is insane, guys. This is absolutely insane. I'll get back to a little bit more of this in a second here, but government shutdown in full effect. Today is the day that people will not be getting paid if you are working for the government. And here's what Mike Johnson has to say about that.
Paychecks miss 3 paychecks, 4 paychecks, where you all change your strategy and say we're going to bring House Republicans back and negotiate before the government's reopened.
I would like you to ask that identical question to Chuck Schumer. We have done the work in the House. We are awaiting them to do theirs. This is a two-body, two-chamber legislative body, okay? The House did its work. The House and Senate Republicans have repeatedly affirmed that. You saw the chart. 8 times now, they have voted to get the government open and get troops paid and federal civilian workers paid. Democrats have dug their heels in and said, no, over and over.
But why did they say no? They say no because you're about to royally fuck 20 million people out of their subsidized health premiums. Period. Here's Mike Johnson again criticizing a rally that is scheduled to be held in support of democracy. Now, the rally is not called Hate America Rally. This is how, and again, if this is the only way you get your news, I could understand why you would hate the Democrats if this is how you get your news. This is so reckless that this is the spin that our government leaders are putting towards people peacefully protesting your First Amendment right to peacefully gather and protest. Have a listen.
Question. I'll turn it back over to the leader. We take some questions, but we've heard, and many of you have reported already, this Hate America rally that they have coming up for October 18th. The Antifa crowd and the pro-Hamas crowd and the Marxists, they're all going to gather on the mall. We got some House Democrats selling T-shirts for this event. It is an outrageous gathering for outrageous purposes, but the Democrats in the Senate have shown that they're afraid of that crowd, that they don't want to bow, that they want to bow to them, bow the knee to them, and they don't want to take incoming from them. And so they're willing to hold the American people hostage so that they don't have to face an angry mob that's a big chunk of their base.
Does anybody even know what the hell he's talking about? Saying that this is a crowd of pro-Hamas, Marxist, Antifa. I mean, this is just like a wet dream of like conservative bingo. You know what I mean? Oh, not the demo. You know, all of these words to describe what? Americans peacefully protesting. They don't want masked federal employees ripping families apart. They don't want, Black Hawk helicopters, people rappelling onto roofs to terrorize. Like, what are we talking about? This is the type of stuff people are protesting. Donald Trump, in a time where government employees are not getting paid, Donald Trump promotes his $500 watch collection during the government shutdown.
Everyone, it's President Donald J. Trump, and it's Trump time. Check out this red beauty. It's one of my new watches. Wear it proudly on your wrist, and everyone will know exactly what it's for, who it represents. It's really going to be something special. It's for your favorite president.
What is he talking about? Now, the president, these aren't even his companies. He just licensed his name out, and then he does a little ad, and then he gets a kickback or whatever. But it's just unreal. Like, it used to be, you'd sell your peanut farm so you could become president. You would, divest from, you would want nothing to be used against you with regard to the fair decisions you'll make as the leader. And here we have nobody even cares. Nobody. I've talked to family members that are MAGA. I've tried to explain the crypto scam and how Trump's wealth has literally doubled in just the last 8 months, and nobody seems to care. And I think it's because a lot of people don't understand what $1 billion is. They don't understand the grift and how much money is being moved by the Trump family. And it's hard to even share information like this because they go, oh yeah, whatever. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, what are you talking about? Meanwhile, President Trump was snubbed by the Nobel Committee. The Peace Prize was handed to a Venezuelan politician. Here is the sort of description by the PR folks of the Nobel Prize explaining why Trump didn't get it.
U.S. President Donald Trump has repeatedly said he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize and he'd like to have it. He even said that it would be an insult to the United States if he doesn't get it. What does as the chairman of the Nobel Peace Prize Committee, think of this, and how has this campaign-like activity by the president and his supporters, domestically and internationally, affected the deliberations and the thinking in the committee?
In the long history of the Nobel Peace Prize, I think this committee have seen any type of campaign, media attention. We receive thousands and thousands of letters every year of people wanting to say what for them leads to peace. This committee sits in a room filled with the portraits of all laureates, and that room is filled with both courage and integrity. So we base only our decision on the work and the will of Alfred Nobel.
So what they're trying to say is they just have Trump derangement syndrome. No, I don't know. Okay, here, and by the way, I think this clip I'm about to share with you perfectly illustrates the tipping point in our government, in our culture right now, where people are fed up. They are absolutely fed up with what's going on.
Republican governor of Oklahoma is breaking with President Trump.
What? The Republican governor of Oklahoma, one of the most red states in the country, is finally standing up against Trump
over the deployment of the Texas National Guard to Illinois. Kevin Stitt, who chairs the National Governors Association, said the president's move violates his belief in states' rights.
This is really, and this is why finally somebody, this is what so many states have said about the Civil War. Well, it was really about states' rights, states' rights, states' rights. Finally, someone has some balls in Oklahoma and is saying, I don't think it's a good idea for the federal government to dictate what these states do. Finally. And here we have former press secretary for like a week, Scaramucci, explaining how Trump is flying very close to the sun and getting away with his brazen corruption, getting away with his brazen power grab and everything else.
Police usually don't win because the rest of the people team up and they go after the bully, But in Donald Trump's case, though, he's flexing on everybody successfully. And I know enough about his personality to know he's marveling at that. He's laughing at it, But remember, when the witch got hit with the water in The Wizard of Oz, what happened? The witch shrunk down. You were left with the witch's hat. That'll be the MAGA hat, the red hat. And then the guards around the witch said, "Oh, geez, I'm sorry, Dorothy." So this is a full-on personality code. He's the Wicked Witch of the West Wing. When he eventually gets hit with the water, which will happen, because it's still in a pretty amazing country, and there's a lot of people in the country and a lot of people in government that know how bad he is and know what he's doing. He's very disruptive to the Constitution and very disruptive to the checks and balances of the country. He's going to get hit with the water.
This is an amazing analogy, and it's just this idea that Trump's not as powerful as people want to make him out to be. It's really that right now he's got an audience that will primary people that disagree with him. So all of these political leaders have to toe that line, from J.D. Vance, who had previously called him, related him to Hitler, right? You have literally people that have Marco Rubio, everybody that said Trump was dangerous, and now it's like, well, I've changed my mind. They're playing this game. Now, what will it get them long term? Caroline Leavitt, she's like 27 years old. Will she ever work again peddling the lies she has peddled for this president? My hope is that anybody who's helped him do his bidding here, Kristi Noem, all of these, the border czar that took $50,000, right? The corrupt Tom Homan, all of these people, it's my hope that they never work in politics ever again, but it's really up to you. It's up to people deciding what they want to vote for and how they see the country moving forward. But I have faith. I do have faith that this blatant corruption, this wasn't a draining of the swamp. It was just a changing of the swamp guards. So the swamp still exists. It might be even worse now. And sadly, this might be the part where we just have to burn it off. This is the part where we have to really see how bad it can get. Maybe those premiums double. Maybe inflation goes up. Maybe grocery prices skyrocket. You can't afford coffee. Maybe all these things need to happen for people to realize, maybe that reality TV show host really wasn't that good. And he was able to scapegoat that season 1, his first term, because COVID got in the way and he was able to make excuses. And he's still saying, well, right now we're still dealing with Biden's economy. And it's like, at what point does MAGA wake up and realize there is really nothing behind the policy decisions going on with President Trump? At what point do people realize that it has been a desecration of our Constitution, First Amendment rights, states' rights, and literally everything in between? And at what point does that tipping point happen where enough people, like the governor of Oklahoma, kind of all come up and say, listen, not what we signed up for? I think that point is soon. I think it's going to be a quicker change than people think as far as the country realizing this is not the direction we need to go in. But again, all of that to say, just release the Epstein files. Well, we've had a long week and we've made it to the finish line. And boy, we like to end our Friday afternoon episode with a customary go fuck yourself. We like to say it to our bosses. So as you're leaving work here, I hope you got paid. If you're not a government employee, I hope you got paid very well. And just remember, do your thing, enjoy your weekend, walk out of that office, kick that door down, put up those middle fingers and tell your boss to go fuck himself. Now it's your time. Happy Friday, folks. We'll see you Monday. Go join my TikTok. I got a lot of content coming out this weekend. DNealz, DNEALZ, TikTok and Instagram. Have a good one. Don't do anything I wouldn't do and then some. We'll see you on Monday. I'm Dave, and this is The Rush.